Hello there, and welcome to part 2 of the citation chaining videos. I'm Eric Christensen, a librarian at Mount Royal University Library. In this video, I'm going to do a quick review of the citation chaining timeline and show you some tools for citation chaining. In the previous video, I talked about the importance of thinking of citation chaining as a timeline. In this example, let's assume that the blue dot is a source that we found, and we want to find additional sources based on that source. Well, if you think of citation chaining as a timeline, meaning that we can go forwards in time or backwards in time, that informs how we think about the sources that we find. For instance, if we citation chain by going backwards in time, we're finding sources that our source has cited, meaning that they are older or were published prior to the source that we found. However, if we want to citation chain going forward in time, that means that we're looking for sources that have cited the source we found since it's been published, meaning that these will be newer than the source that we found. Let me show you a few tools for how to do this. In this example, I've taken an article from the database PsycInfo, but you could do this in any science or arts database. It doesn't really matter. All we really need to start is to have a known item. Let's assume that my project is on teacher burnout, and the article that I found is called Teachers' Interpersonal Self-Efficacy, Evaluation and Predictive Capacity of Teacher Burnout. I've looked at this article fairly closely, and I've decided that it's relevant to my research paper. So now I need to find additional sources. I'm going to start by looking at citations from this paper. So I'm going to citation chain by going back in time. What we need to do now is get to the full PDF version of this article, which we can do here. Here we have the PDF of this article, and I want to get to the reference list, which is typically at the end of the paper. Here I am at the end of the paper, and I can see in detail all of the sources that this particular author has cited. All of these sources will be older than the paper I have already found, but many of these may be on the same topic and could be useful to my research. Now let's learn how to use citation indexes to citation chain into the future. I'm going to start by looking at Scopus. Scopus is a very large citation index, and it's a great place to get started with your citation chaining. What I've done is I've copied the title of the article that I've already found. So I'm just going to paste that into the search box in Scopus. If the article is located in Scopus, it'll show up in the results. We have the title of the article, we have the authors, the year it was published, which is 2015, and the journal, which is the Electronic Journal of Research in Educational Psychology. One thing you'll notice in a citation index is this cited by. In Scopus, it will tell you who has cited the source that you found since it's been published. In this case, it lists 4. Let's check these out. These 4 sources, which have all been published since 2018, cited the original article that I found. Scopus will only find other peer-reviewed academic sources generally. The citation chaining method is interesting because it's a bit of a rabbit hole. You can continue to click on the cited by until you can't go any further. For instance, here's another article that looks like it could be promising, called Gendered Emotion Management and Teacher Outcomes in Secondary School Teaching, a Review. A review article is really helpful because those have often looked at a variety of research. According to Scopus, this review article was cited by 3 people, or 3 additional sources. So I can click that, and these are 3 more sources that could be valuable to my project. I can't go any further anymore because these sources are too new and haven't been cited by anybody else. You can see how you can continue to chain together sources that you found using a citation index. Another way to do this is to go through Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a great open resource, meaning that anybody can use it. Before we get searching in Google Scholar, let's make sure that we have our settings adjusted correctly. Go to the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner. Under that menu, go to Settings. Under the Settings section, go to Library Links, and we want to make sure that Mount Royal University Library is here. This is really important. If you have included Mount Royal University Library under your library links, it'll show you which of the sources that Google Scholar has found that exists in MRU Library already. This is important because Google Scholar will search far beyond traditional library catalogs, and it'll find many sources that may or may not be available through the MRU library system. If your library is not in here, you can search for your library in the search box and add it manually. Once you've done this, click Save. Just like in Scopus, I'm not doing a general search. I'm trying to find the item that I already found in PsycInfo. So I'm just going to paste in the title of the article and hit search. Google Scholar has found the article, and not surprising, it's the only result. Under our source, we have a few different options. If you're logged into Google Scholar under your Google account, you can save this article by clicking on the star. You can cite this article, and Google Scholar will attempt to generate an automated citation. And we have cited by. And this will show us all of the different sources that cite the article that we found. You'll notice that Google Scholar has found 37 cited bys, as opposed to the 4 that Scopus found. That's because Google Scholar typically searches far beyond other citation indexes. It will find white papers, gray literature, and conference presentations. You'll notice that beside each of these sources, it tells us where we can find it. Some of them are blank, but some of them do say full text available at MRU Library. This is helpful. It's worthwhile trying each of the sources that look like they're of value, even if it doesn't have the link to MRU Library. It still might be available on the open web. This top cited by looks like it could be promising. You'll notice that we can continue the citation chain method by going to cited by under this source. In this case, it says cited by 10. This is where citation chaining gets interesting, because we can link together the different sources we found and found out who has cited what. This is an additional 10 citations that have cited the article that we just saw, which cited the previous article we found on PsycInfo. You can see how this gets confusing, but this is a very efficient way of doing research. I recommend making a short list of sources. Click through the cited by links as far as you can, look at the titles of each article, and make sure to click the star and save them so you can return and read them in more depth later. Let's review some of the citation chaining concepts. Citation chaining is the process of locating additional information sources from a known source. Citation chaining allows you to link together several sources. You can citation chain backwards or forwards through time. Backwards by using the reference list of a source, or forwards by using a citation index. Some common citation indexes include Scopus and Google Scholar. This has been an overview of citation chaining.